Oh, hello there. Yes. Well, I hope you had a lovely day. Mine was very quiet, I'm pleased to say. Me and the child and the cat. Just a nice quiet day. How I like it. Anyway, today I thought we'd have a bit of a pick of all the glorious, very much invested in Christianity right-wing grifters yesterday who were showing their Christian spirit in full force. So I thought we'd pick out some choice elements. First up is Peter Whittle, who is still waging his one-man campaign against, brown people he doesn't like. Yes, he's still very, very upset with the notion that London was built by immigrants, which is something that he claims that Sadiq Khan says on a regular basis, which I don't think Sadiq Khan particularly does. But of course, Sadiq Khan is the wrong type of brown person. If he was, Lord Sean Bailey, for example, it'd be the right type of brown person. But of course, I guess he's instead not managed to get into the House of Lords yet for services to having a party during COVID, I do believe. But anyway, leaving that aside, it's just that whenever I see this stuff about London, I think to myself, it was built by the Romans, and now you might argue that they weren't immigrants as such because they were invaders, but nevertheless it is very much a foreign settlement to begin with. And then if you start to look at the actual censuses, the original one in 1800 and the ones after that, you do get a very big sense of, for example, vast amounts of Irish people who predominantly built the capital, along with a whole bunch of children in those days. Now, you might want to argue, as undoubtedly Peter does, that in those days they were subjects of the British Empire, but they sure as hell weren't thought of as being anything other than immigrants by, people like Peter. But that's his Christian view of the world, I suppose. Elon Musk really managed to convince everybody that he may just be on the autistic spectrum by posting up lots of things. I did have to smile at this particular image, which no sense of irony at all. He reposted. Imagine being a sinister figure behind the president. I suppose his argument is he's not sinister. Yes. And his mum, he reposted his mum as well, basically complaining bitterly on Christmas Day about poor people and the amount they're costing us. Yes, a very Christian view of the world, but I guess it's just that particular type of libertarian Christian that has a very selective reading of the Bible. Daily Telegraph readers were out in force, being very, very upset about the by now infamous Southport ouch me balls rioter who got 2.5 years, suggesting it was ridiculous because all he did apparently was assault police, having got very, very drunk. I mean, is that illegal? Yes, it is, but I suppose that's a sort of spirit of forgiveness for you. Very, very selective, as ever. We had this astonishing one from Petronella Wyatt, a woman who is famous for not having a child with Boris Johnson. As far as I can make out, that's it. And I did have to smile at this. Austria possesses something Britain doesn't: the courage of its traditions. Unlike our blind capitulation to minorities, Austria is a country with honesty, culture, and above all, pride in its heritage. You can think of lots of things about Austria. My favourite fact about it is that for decades after the Second World War, there wasn't a time until quite recently when Adolf wasn't a favourite boy's name. Make of that what you will, but I know it speaks volumes. Personally, I think it speaks volumes about, Austria's past, and not a very Christian past at that. One might put it that particular way. One of my favourite Christian teachers, Kevin Lister, managed to post up on the day being very indignant about the fact that, apparently he did something wrong, and apparently, he's not allowed to be a teacher anymore because, he did something wrong. I don't know, it's really quite astounding to think that some people are so utterly blinded by their particular, in this case I would argue his particular Christianity, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, or whatever variation trans you want to make of that particular one, that he just can't potentially see that what he did was really obnoxious, and as such he mustn't be allowed in front of children. Anyway, he'll carry on with that, and all his mates were wishing him well. Utterly astounded at Graham Linehan coming out with this, which is he reposted this, but it really is quite an astounding image. And I don't know. I would imagine that if the real invisible sky people were up there, that they would hurl a thunderbolt or two at him for this. It is wrong on so many different levels, very much like Glinner himself is. But anyway, he's off to the States, so no doubt the Christians there will love him. Lois Perry and the rest of the right-wing grifters were reposting each other. I had to smile at this from everyone's least favourite racist, David Atherton, who managed to make all these kind of suggestions in one picture about two of the three Abrahamistic religions that are really close to each other, despite the fact that, Christians have a long history of not being very keen on Jewish people. But I guess that's just, realpolitik where we are at the moment, and we'll just forget about that particular history. I mean, Lois Perry has managed to reinvent herself once again. She seems to do it every 3 months. She's now ambassador for some spurious climate denying think tank. I imagine that she'd personally be quite keen on the idea of it getting warmer, because it would mean that she wouldn't get so chilly from her previous career on, selling photographs of herself. Astounding. She was what was she? She managed to be UKIP's leader for about 5 minutes before becoming, she got a nasty cold, didn't she? She put more clothes on, I think, would be it. Sitting next to God, of course, we get Friar Calvin Robinson, and I still am astounded about the fact that he will bang on about sodomites and yet is quite happy with Dan Wootton. Presumably it's a money thing, whereby the amount of a badness the sodomites are has to do very, very directly with how much they're willing to platform him or platform each other. And one has to tip one's hat to Lawrence Fox, good Christian man that he is, undoubtedly, hounding a woman because she was unhappy on Twitter, and oddly enough then being indignant about the fact that, she told him where to go. Really astounding. He really doesn't get sexism at all, does he? In the slightest. Still, just like Jesus. I mean, Jesus was famously not a fan of women either. Maybe I've got that wrong. But again, I guess that's just, the right-wingers' particular Bible. I don't know. I haven't read the Trump Bible. Maybe it's in there. Yes. Anyway, very much out in force. I don't know these people. It astounds me that they play this game whereby they pretend to be pious and religious, and then get upset when you point it out, as though magically anyone can't see through this. Is there anyone out there that believes that Russell Brand is a Christian, or that Lawrence Fox is a Christian? Anybody? Anywhere? Don't think so. And yet we're all expected to buy into this utter tripe from them, masquerading as piety, when in fact all it is just very, very, very nasty bigotry against anyone they don't particularly fancy. In Lawrence's case, particularly women in the media. How dare they? Imagine a woman with an opinion. Dreadful. Still, that's the spirit of their Christmas. Do have a lovely rest of the day. Boxing Day. Yeah, try not to, get into any boxing. And if you can, give alms to the poor. Not migrants or anyone that's poor or undeserving or gay or anything. Unless, of course, they're the right poor, undeserving, gay or brown people or whatever it might be. In which case, just do, give as generously as you can do. Or, indeed, persuade them to give generously to all those very, very deserving people like, Lawrence Fox et al. Do have a lovely, lovely day.